Hi, my name is Dr. Erin Daniel with Rejuvenate Life Chiropractic, and today I am giving a presentation virtually here for my open house, June 17th. It's a Thursday from 4 to 7, and I'll be doing some book signing from 6 to 7 for my Healing Through the Storm, How to Restore Health While Life is Happening book. So I would love to be actually up public speaking at the event, but there will be a lot going on. That Saturday, the 19th, I will also be doing screenings in which we'll be talking about some different ways that we can see what 90% of our nerves are doing. So you'll understand more about that, but there will be signups for that. Please personal message me if you're interested. I'll need a name, I'll need a phone number, I'll need a birth date, and an email address in order to get you signed up for one of those time slots. So if you can't make it, please do let me know. I would be interested in still having you get that opportunity to get your nervous system checked. Now, today I'm going to be talking about generally what health is. Now, part of my whole open house experience is going to be tickets. What do you get these tickets for? Well, you get a ticket for showing up, you get a ticket for bringing a friend, you get 3 tickets for watching this video, as well as filling out a form in this little packet that you'll get. I will have a link to the form that you need to fill out that you can message me with a phone number and still get your 3 tickets for attending, and let me know which prize bucket you would like me to put those in. You also get a ticket for taking a tour of the office in person, so there is that, but you do get a chance for 3 tickets by watching this video as well. So what are we doing today? Well, we are celebrating my open house. So I have moved locations. I've been in practice for about 13 years. This July, actually, it'll be 13 years that I've been a chiropractor. Done a lot of different practice scenarios and situations, and I'm excited to have my own space again. I'm also excited for that book. Yay, it was a lot of hard work. I will have copies available for sale at the open house as well. And when it comes to overall health, there's a lot of messages that I really want to talk about because health is so important and so near and dear to my heart. For those of you who don't know too much about my journey, I have had brain surgery and spine surgery for some birth defects that I had, tethered cord as well as a Chiari malformation. So basically, tethered cord, my spinal cord was being pulled down too tightly, so the cord inside was being held down too close, too tight, and then part of my brain, okay, that sits here, the cerebellum, was going down into this little tiny space here that my spinal cord was supposed to occupy and cause lots of pressure, numbness, burning, tingling. Could not go like this without shooting pains down my spine. So when people come to me and they say, Dr. Erin, I hurt, I know. I truly, truly, truly know that you're hurting. I know what it's like. I know that there's answers. I know that sometimes those answers do not come how we wish they would come. They come in little tiny puzzle pieces that fit together. There is no magic pill, potion, or lotion that's going to do it for you. I am so sorry to say that that's just how it is. I wish I could offer something, that would be instantaneous, but they just don't make it. Our bodies are complex. So let's start talking about what health actually is. So those of you who have a booklet who are watching this at the open house, you can flip to your page number 1. Oops. Oopala, right? Of course I drop it. So what is health? According to the World Health Organization, health is having complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or sickness or infirmity. Okay, so why is that important, and what does that all mean? That's a mouthful. So we're not just saying, hey, I don't have COVID, or hey, I don't have a flu right now. That's not health. Doesn't measure health. Just because you're not sick doesn't make anybody healthy. When we talk about that social well-being, and here is the very interesting part of this, because of COVID, according to the National Alliance of Mental Health, this was since March of 2020, there had been a 65% increase in suicide. Okay, so this is a big deal. So that social aspect of health, social well-being, we need to have that people-to-people interaction. We need to have it there. That is crucial for our health. In my book, I talk and reference about Susan Pinker, who did a TED Talk And she had done some longevity studies and watched other people who did longevity studies. And what she saw and observed was that the number 1 and number 2 predictors as far as overall longevity dealt with social interactions. So the number 1 and number 2 were social interactions with close people. Those are people who you'd go to church with, or people who you'd get money from if you were down to your last loaf of bread. They would be people who could bring you to the doctor, somebody to rely on and lean on. So that person, as well as just the social interaction. So for all of this, where we're treating people like they're lepers, and we're staying away from people, and we don't know, and we feel like they could all be sick or diseased, and we're not talking and interacting and saying hello, that's actually very detrimental for our longevity. It's very bad for our health. And as we can see, if it's 65% increase in suicide rates, then it's a lot more than that. Now, I'd like us to think about this question. So, can we even say that we know when we're sick just by feeling? What do we think? Yes or no? We could know if there's something not right just by how our body is feeling. Well, in some cases we can if we're very in tune, but 57% of the men who go in and have a heart attack had no prior symptoms whatsoever. So we call it the silent killer because we didn't even know it was a problem. There wasn't necessarily anything that said that this was an issue. Okay, so we can have silent diseases, cancer. A lot of times we go in for early detection. It's not preventing cancer, right? Prevention would be we're actually doing things in our lifestyle to make it so that we would never get it. So it's really hard to measure. We almost have to look back and say, okay, what do these societies have in common? What things are they doing that's allowing them to live longer, or not having this population see diabetes or obesity? Okay, obesity, actually, this is an interesting thing for Amish. They actually have an obesity gene. However, they don't express obesity because they get an average of 18,000 steps in per day. So they're doing things in their lifestyle that's counteracting that. So Isabella Wentz, in her book, what is her book? The Root Cause. It's about Hashimoto's thyroiditis. They talk about 25% being genetic. Then we have a leaky gut, and then we have an emotional or other trigger that's going to happen. Those 3 things need to be there in order for us to express in a diseased state. Okay, so we don't always know that any of those things are there. Heart attack's number 1, as far as heart disease is the number 1 killer in the United States. Okay, most of the time it's very preventable. All right, but we don't know that we have it, so not a very good indicator of health. So if we have a normal functioning body, we are going to have a healthy body. Okay, so we want normal function. Structure determines function. That's why our anatomy is so important. We have a saying in chiropractic called garbage in and garbage out. If you're putting a bunch of garbage into your body, not having good nutrients, you don't have anything to build and repair your body. So like, let's say you are building a house, and we'll use the 3 little pigs as an example. And we decide that we want to build our house out of brick. Well, great, that's fantastic. We love brick. It's going to be nice and strong. But what if straw is the only thing available to us? Well, then somebody's going to huff and puff and blow our house down. So if we're tearing down our muscles by exercising, but we're not getting the proper nutrients, then we're building straw-like muscles instead of brick-like muscles. Okay, so we want the nice strong ones, right? So structure determines function, determines health, right? So normal function, we have a healthy body, that's what we are looking for. This also will influence the quality of our life. So if we have better function, we're going to have a better quality of life. And I am all about longevity. My book talks a lot about how we actually stay healthy for the entirety of life and not just look at it like a race. We're talking about life as a marathon of enjoyment rather than just sprinting everywhere that we have to go. Now, in reality, is it little sprints and then some periods of rest, sprints and rests, kind of like our HIIT training? Yes. But overall, we want to think of it in terms of the whole thing rather than just the individual little sections of time. So there are actually going to be different types of nerves. In this chart right here, there's an updated one in your book that looks a little more like that. But we have, if we took 100% of our nerves, what do they actually go for? What do they do? Okay, central nervous system, if you flip then a couple pages up, the central nervous system controls and coordinates every cell, tissue, muscle, and organ. Plus, it adapts and regulates your body to its environment. Okay, so how does it do this? It has three basic components. We have motor nerves that are going to go to any kind of muscles in the body. It makes us move and lift and get all of that kind of stuff done. It ambulates us, right? Movement. The other 45% is going to be autonomic or automatic. And this is a good example of all of those organs that it controls. So the brain and the spinal cord, the nerves that come out, they're the communication center that's going to tell all of these organs what to do, going to tell your thyroid to function, what hormones to release. It controls all of that body physiology, necessary stuff. But until there's a major happening, okay, and our body will try to keep our blood in a very narrow regulatory pattern because it doesn't take much outside of that normal range for us to die. So it will take things from bone, like we'll take calcium from bone so that our heart can beat, instead of leaving it in the bone, it'll take it in order to use it. So we don't always know that this is going on, okay? We cannot feel this process. That is another 45%. The final 10% deals with anything sensory. So I want you to think about your special senses, like seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and feeling, cold and hot, temperature, pressure, vibration, knowing where your body is in relation to itself. So am I up, am I down, am I left, am I right, or right and left the way you're looking at me? Okay, so we're looking at all of those things. Those things we can have a good idea of. We feel those things. That's only 10%. Only 2 to 5% is actually dealing with pain. So pain is a very poor indicator of health. It is not a good idea to let that be the determining factor. So just because we say, yeah, I feel good, does not mean that we're actually healthy. So we don't always have the function that we think that we have either. So I want us to think about a person, and we'll say that this person is dead and they're lying in front of us. They're still going to have all their body parts, they're still going to have all their organs, they're still going to have every cell. But what makes that dead body different than this live body that's right in front of you? Well, this live body, being me, I have that spark of life. I have something inside that is going to let me know that I'm alive, right? There's this thing that's there. Some people will call it a soul or a spirit. In chiropractic, we have two different terms. We call something universal intelligence and we call something innate intelligence. Universal intelligence is like the intelligent design of all of it. Some people liken it to God. I'm not trying to get into a spiritual realm of anything, but there's this order, right? Like the order of the atoms. There's these principles of how all of this interacts, how we could possibly even have a baby. But then it's like what actually gives that life, right? We have this directing process that's going to happen. So let's say you have sperm and it's outside of the body and it's in a petri dish. So sperm are going every which direction, but you put sperm inside a female's body and those sperm will all travel in one direction and they know where to go. They're trying to create life. They're trying to fertilize the egg. Now, females, we have ovaries on either side. We don't typically release more than one at a time, and it doesn't always mean like it goes right then left and right then left. It can be in its own pattern, but those sperm inside the body, they know what's going on. When those two cells meet, they're half cells. Okay, they don't have all of the genetic material. We need all of it there. Okay, but once they meet, they start multiplying exponentially. Okay, so we get this little ball and this blast of cells that's there. But then at day 18, we have something really cool that happens. We have our first organ that's formed. Day 18, right? She doesn't even know, mom doesn't even know she's pregnant yet a lot of times. Okay, at day 18, what happens? What organ do we think is formed? Any ideas? Liver, kidneys, heart, brain? It will be the remnants of the brain. So it's the notochord, okay? A neurotube basically becomes the brain and the spinal cord, okay? So that starts. Then half a week later, our heart starts beating. So that little body inside has a heartbeat. Okay, but it has life, right? And it's designed and the body knows what to do, and that baby somehow knows how to go from these two cells combining to one cell and then form this whole human body, right? This is pretty cool stuff at how this takes place. The body knows. It has that It has that intelligence. The body is made to be a self-healing, self-regulating organism. I want you to think about a cut on your finger. Okay, you slice your finger and it's bleeding. What's going to stop the blood? Well, you're going to have platelets come in there. You're going to have the inflammatory process, right? You're going to have inflammation, so cells separate, and then little white blood cells are going to come in and try to clean up and make sure there's no infection. Then we're going to have some collagen and other types of cells come in, form scar tissue. Now that garbage in, garbage out model that we're talking about, if all that's available is straw, instead of our good healthy collagen, if we have the kind of straw kind of collagen, we're going to have straw kind of cells that help heal that wound. So nutrition is important, people. But anyway, our body heals it. Let's say we needed stitches. It might close it up. We're preventing infection. We may have made it harder for blood to stop, but the body still has to heal it. Even after a surgery, somebody can come in and cut an organ out. Okay, I don't have a gallbladder. I did that at 17. Okay, got that taken out. Yet my body still has to do the healing around anything that is associated with any place that they cut. I still have to heal it. My body still has to do it. I want you to think now about all of these organs that we have floating inside. It's depicted outside, but they're really inside the body, right? So I want you to think about all those organs. And then I want you to think about which ones are most protected. What do we think? A lot of people say, well, the heart's protected, right? We've got the sternum and the rib cage that come in, nice hard, hard structures. What about all the belly organs? No, that's kind of like, those are just left for the taking, right? Samurais, if weird factoids that I have, but samurais, would do belly slices, right? Because that's exposed. What's not exposed is our brain or our spinal cord. It's the only organ that is completely encased with hard bone for a reason. It's a delicate structure. Like I said just a minute ago, it's our control center. It's like the hardware on our computer. It's going to be telling everything what it needs to do. Where it differs is we actually have a software program that has to update. Our brain is something called neuroplastic. So we can actually form pathways in our brain if we do an activity over and over again. Like if we learn to ride a bike, we're going to learn that pathway, and that pathway is going to be there for us to recall. Might take us a little bit after, not riding for a little bit to get back up on that bike, but we're going to remember how to do that. Then we can take a new exercise, and let's say we're trying to learn how to rollerblade. That's not quite the same. So we have to learn a new pathway. Okay, we learn all these pathways, but we can learn these pathways in a very unhealthy manner. Okay, so for example, let's say I have an injury and I hurt my shoulder, and my shoulder is now forward and hanging down like this. My body wants to make that shoulder do any of the activities. If I just leave it, it's going to now solicit other muscles, and then it'll try to turn something in order to still do a motion that I should be able to do normally. We have to retrain those patterns in order to get that shoulder to heal and rewire that nervous system with that brain in order to fix it. Now, there are a few things that actually disturb this signaling and disturb this communication. There's actually 3 big ones, okay? They can be physical, chemical, or emotional. All right, physical things would be even something as early as the birth process. For me, I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck 2 times. I was blue. I was so blue, and I'm a child of the 80s. I was so blue, my brother thought he got Smurfette. And let me tell you how disappointed he was when he realized I was not. Okay, so it did not matter what I was going to do in life. I was never going to be as cool as I was when I was first born, and in his head, I was Smurfette. I think he resented me ever since. No, I'm just kidding. It's just to light on the matter. But seriously, our head, it matters. Like when we're coming out of the birth canal, there's a lot of force that goes through. On average, doctors are pulling between 90 and 20 pounds and 120 pounds of pressure. Now, if we have a baby that didn't make it, unfortunately, they've tested, and it only takes between 120 and 140 pounds to decapitate that baby. I'm talking head and skull off. Right? We don't need that much pressure on these poor little babies, okay? That's a whole other topic, and those of you who want to know more about my story, I would be more than happy to tell you about how I gave birth to my little 9-pound baby boy on the bathroom floor by myself. Nobody around, just me and him. So it is possible. But Lots of times we can have things that start right then and there. When we are 5 years old, we have fallen 5,000 times. By the time we are 5 years old, that doesn't put into play all of those years of sitting and now all these things with devices and all these stressors physically that we put on our bodies. Sedentary life is actually more harmful than smoking. Please don't start smoking. It's not healthy either. However, being sedentary is very dangerous for our health. It's a physical stressor, doing constant motions over and over and over again, repetitive motions, even just sitting in a truck and having that vibration and that bounce that happens is also very hard on the body, not to mention that you're sitting, not to mention that it's just long hours, not enough sleep, bad food, no movement. Our bodies are designed to move. We are not meant to live that way. So those are physical stressors. So on your chart, okay, you might see, okay, these are on pages 8 and 9. We're talking about different stressors that are available, okay? Now in the emotional category, many of us have experienced things. And I want to give this example. A lot of people say, Dr. Erin, I don't understand how I just reached down and I picked up a pencil. What happened? It is the straw that broke the camel's back. And what do I mean? This is a very full cup of water. Each droplet of water represents a stressor in our life, physical, chemical, or emotional, and they just keep adding up. And if we do nothing to pour some of this out, it just gets more full and more full and more full and more full. Okay, so let's just say this keeps filling. It only takes one drop, one last drop to spill the whole thing out over the sides. Okay, one drop, so one more of those stressors. In the emotional category, it can be financial stressors. It can be relationship stressors. It can be stressors that started when we were little. You can't tell me that if mom is all emotional, that baby cannot feel something that's going on. He or she is inside the same person's body, right? Different body, but inside another body, they're gonna feel those hormones. Okay, if there is stress going on in a household, I want you guys to think back. Not that I want us to conjure up a bunch of bad memories, but you can probably identify something between the time you were 3 and 4 years old in which your parent or a loved one or a brother or a sister or somebody close to you said something to you that you are still holding on to this day. And it impacted you and it affected you. So you cannot tell me that we don't hold on to these emotional stressors. They help fill this cup up. We got to let them go, okay? But they help fill those up. So you'll fill in that category as well with anything that would be stressing for you. And we do this in child, teen, and adult, and then if it's not applicable, and you're going to circle all these things. Okay. Then we're going to look at chemical stressors. So this is anything non-nutrient that we're putting into our body. Okay, anything non-nutrient. So pesticides, herbicides, flame retardants, chemicals that we're cleaning with, personal care products, caffeine, alcohol, drugs, you name it. There's a whole list there, okay, of possible things that can affect us. Now I want us to look at this example. So we can see how we would have stress in our body from anger or emotions. Our body changes. A lot of us get our ears up towards our shoulders. We can see this with a physical stress, right? We tweak something, we fall, we trip, and something gets shifted out of place. We could also see this with our chemical stressors as well, for like inflammation that would be in the body. Okay, so we can have an overall like murky feeling, like it's hard to move our joints. Okay, in a normal joint, I want you to take a look at a finger. So we're going to do a finger example. Relax your finger, and I want you do it all with me. I know you guys will all be doing this together. Don't worry. You're going to move your finger in a clockwise direction and a counterclockwise direction. Now, let's think about this. If we have some torque on that joint, okay, we have torque. Now try to move that finger clockwise and counterclockwise. Okay, that joint does not like that. So we can have our muscles affected by a physical, chemical, or emotional stress to that nervous system, and then our joint is not going to function. So function determines, structure determines function. So we have poor structure because things are out of alignment, okay, then we're going to have poor function. So our brain controls all of these different things, okay? What we call it in chiropractic when we have a disturbance to that nervous system by a physical, chemical, or emotional cause is a subluxation. So a subluxation, and this is page 7, Okay, our misalignment is an enemy of the central nervous system. Various stresses can cause misaligned vertebra known as subluxation, which disturbs communication within the central nervous system, resulting in abnormal function. Most of us get this example when I would talk about alignment in our car, like our front end alignment is off. What happens if we leave it that way? Anybody know? Uneven wear and tear. And let's say I go over a big pothole and I have a very worn out tire. I could have a flat tire. Again, the straw that broke the camel's back, or the drop in the cup of water that overflowed it. Okay, so all of those things very crucial. So when someone says to me, Dr. Erin, I don't know what I did. I don't know what you did either. I know you have lots of droplets. I know all of us have a lot of droplets after this COVID year. Okay, a lot of the emotional ones, not to mention just being worn out and run down by expecting to do 80 million different things. Okay, one thing COVID did show us is that not every event on our calendar is worth being there. Also showed us that it's really nice to have some family time again. Okay, so it also shows us how important that social interaction is. Okay, so I want you to think about those 3 stressors. Fill in that chart. That is how you are going to get your 3 tickets for watching this video. Is by turning that in so we can see. Now I want you to also think, what age did all of this start? For me, it was birth. And then what kind of stuff am I experiencing now? Even if you have no symptoms, you can tell some of those stressors. How long has that stressor been there? Let's say it's financial stressor. How many years has that financial stressor been there? Or that marriage stressor, or stress with kids, or being a single parent, or anything that, you know, is bothering you. Stress is just measured by how we handle it, not by what anybody else thinks is stressful. 2 different stressors, or same stressor, could cause 2 different reactions in 2 different people. Okay, so how many years then is it from the time it started till now? That's how many years you've been adding in those little droplets of water to that cup. And that's how many years, okay, it's been there. So when it comes to fixing this, it takes just a little bit more time than one might imagine. So after you take the test, fill out these questions as well. Have you discovered that you've experienced more stress throughout your life than you originally thought? Have you seen the effects of stress have started and accumulated since childhood? Do you acknowledge that stress will be present in certain areas of your life for years to come? These stresses sometimes aren't going anywhere. Since the 3 major causes of stress, physical, chemical, or emotional, are present in your life, are you more aware of the importance of having your central nervous system checked? Let's check these 90% Saturday. Okay, I'll be here. Let's scan you, find out what those are doing. Are you convinced that early detection will give you a better chance of preventing future health problems? Again, early detection. At this point, we're not talking prevention. That's what this is for. Right? How do we stay healthy? How to restore health while life is happening and keep it? Okay. Since some of these stresses started early in childhood, do you feel that parents should have their children evaluated for subluxation? How many hours a day are your kids in these postures? And trust me, this is not just a you problem, this is a me problem. My children, oh, mom doesn't know anything, right? Because I'm mom. So we're constantly working on posture. We're constantly working on adjusting them, but they are under a lot of physical stress that I have not seen before in history because of the amount of years that we've been here. Okay. How do we become healthy? Okay, these subluxations that we talk about, disturbances of the nervous system, physical, chemical, or emotional, that are affecting how our whole body is working. Okay, these are devastating, they're relentless, and they're progressive. It's like a cavity. You leave a cavity, and over time it's going to turn into a root canal. I don't want no root canal. Sorry for the poor grammar, right? I ain't want that, right? It's like, honey, no thank you. Right? I don't want that. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. I don't want to see you go from a state that we can help you to a state that we're only preventing it from just getting worse. Like, we have this vibrancy in this life and this vitality that we're meant to live. We have a purpose. We have a relationship. Those of you who are spiritual, you could say, hey, I have this relationship with God and it's so important to me. Okay? That's important. We need this vibrancy in this life. Another longevity predictor, just because it's on the top of my head right now, is how many times we attend any kind of religious service. People who attend at least once a week or more have that stronger sense of community. This is according to Lynn McTaggart's book, The Power of Eight. Okay, so we really have found that people who have a support system in their faith are going to be better. Also, the blue zones, which I quote in my book by Dan Buettner, he also talks about how that is something common across people who live to be over 100 years old in different populations of the world. So there are different populations that do that. Now, I use all sorts of things in my office. I use my hands for adjustments. Okay, so that's what we call when we're correcting those subluxations. I use my hands. I use all sorts of manual medicine. I adjust anything from ear ossicles, cranial bones, sinuses, viscera, the internal organs, okay, down to the big toe, you name it, elbows, shoulders, knees, everything. So I look at kinetic chain. It's very important to me on how how all of it is connected together. It's very important to me, these three things that we're talking about for those stressors and how to start eliminating some of those stressors, or how to help at least take that load off, right? I want to take this. I teach you how to continuously get it lower and lower so we don't keep bubbling over. Okay. I use adjustment tools that help in the process. I use vibration instruments that help release fascia. I use drop tables. So I have many, many tools in my tool belt. I show different kinds of stretches and exercise and myofascial release techniques that we can do to help ourselves. Okay, but one of the biggest recommendations I have is called the Power Hour. So 20 minutes of physical activity, even if it's as simple as a walk. Those people who are very obese, it's okay to do that in a pool. It takes some of the pressure off. I love pools to begin with. Then we have 20 minutes of healthy food prep and 20 minutes of prayer or meditation to settle ourselves back down again. So there isn't any pill, potion, or lotion that's just going to take care of all of this. We need enough sleep. We need enough water. Okay, those are huge. Then we need to move our bodies, but we also need to be conscious of what we're putting in. So one of my favorite things is Optimal Health Systems has this OptiPack. I actually take 2 of these, one in the morning, one at nighttime. So I do 2 boxes per month, but they come out and they're just a little packet, so I can throw them in my purse and take them. This has like the minimal nutrition, because I want to be building my house out of brick, building my body out of nice quality material and not just straw. Okay, this is something I take regularly. I also take Endoscientific CBD oil. We have endocannabinoid receptors in our brain, as well as our peripheral system. In our brain, we see really awesome things happen with people with seizures and epilepsy and other neurologic disorders, but peripherally we see things as far as overall decreasing body inflammation. I am not telling you to just put a bunch of garbage in and then take some of this stuff. We want to get as much of that garbage out as possible, and we want stuff to help clean it up. Okay, but this is something I personally take every day as well. Another good one is a fruit and veggie plus, just to get more nutrition in, just because our lives are busy. For those of us who have cardiovascular, it's the #1 killer in the United States, okay? I have one of the scans that I do also lets us know about how well our blood vessels are working, and nitric oxide is a very key nutrient for that, something else I take. But people who are in chronic pain, I do recommend a joint pack that works on acute and chronic conditions with things like turmeric, glucosamine, and chondroitin, as well as Endoscientific's cannabinoid cream. Okay, it's a pain cream. It helps take the edge off. So I like that. And I like that it's something that's natural. It's also going to help just my overall body. So I really do like this. It's a good smell. I put this on myself. Those of you who know me, I do Taekwondo with my son at Williams Taekwondo. Great, they're extending their classes. So even homeschool, there's some daytime classes available as well. So you should check that out at Williams Taekwondo for family classes. But I love it. But I have been known to get a few bruises, and this really helps take the edge off of those bruises because I'm a little intense, like everything else in life that I do, but love those things. So there's lots of things that we can do to help and support, but I need to make sure all of these things are working, that all of our muscles are working, and that our pain starts going away. I do that through manual medicine. Okay, manual physical manipulation, it actually does things neurologically. Okay, there's whole pathways, but there's not enough time to talk about that. So couple questions. These are great questions for you to ask yourself on the last page. Okay. We can't just keep putting tape over our check engine light of our body telling us something is wrong, even if it's not officially pain. Okay. But if it comes and it goes, it's telling us something. Okay. If we just don't want to know because we're afraid of what the answer is, well, it's going to be easier to fix now than later. If we don't have time for it or money for it, are you going to have time and money for it if it becomes even worse? They couldn't find anything. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong with me. Doctors in Mayo Clinic couldn't find anything wrong with me either, even though I had 2 birth defects. I was forced to find it myself, an advocate for myself. Okay, when I had other medical providers telling me that it was just incidental finding, there was nothing wrong with me, and I'm saying, no, there's been something wrong, and I've been trying to find it. Okay, was it the magic cure? No. Did it help? Oh yeah, with when I had surgery, but I still have other stressors. I still have other droplets that come in and fill this up. Okay, and having a birth defect for that long, it started me off with some stressors. Okay. So I want you to really look at this and remember, no magic pill, potion, or lotion, but there's lots of stuff that we can do. We have the ability to choose to do more for our health if that's what we would like. So those of you, fill out that sheet. If you don't have one of the packets and you just listen to this, I'll try to put a link in so you can fill out that survey. You can email it back to me, dr.erin.denil@icloud.com. So dr.erin.denil@icloud.com. And then you'll get 3 tickets for the drawing. Okay, you'll also get a ticket for coming, a ticket for bringing a friend, ticket for buying a book, 3 tickets for filling that sheet out. Was there anything else? If you take a tour of my office, you also get a ticket. But those of you who want the virtual option, you still get the opportunity for 3 tickets just by sending me that form. And really look at that, how long this has been going on, when we realize it's not going to be an overnight fix and it takes time. Okay, we need to replace the straw with some brick. Okay. So I am so excited that you are here today. There are so many wonderful things that people can have to restore their health and vitality, and so many peeks into the way this nervous system is working that I get to do. We're doing that on Saturday, where we're doing some scans for people as well. So I'm Dr. Erin Denil with Rejuvenate Life Chiropractic. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.